Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our next webinar on personal management, or at the central question, how do you show up to your life when it pertains to habits, time management, and stress. So let's talk about something that's really central to any kind of people in transition, clients in job transition or life transition, as personal management is such a central topic to that. Today's webinar will be about 35 minutes. I'm showing you about 27 slides, and this is part of a series of Next Steps webinars that me and my colleagues are recording for you, hoping to provide you some really valuable tips on how to figure out your next job and how transitioning more comfortably and more successfully with good results. Before we start, I would like to offer you some suggestions. Pause and take notes. Part of the beauty of a pre-recorded webinar is that you can actually stop it anytime. So if you need to reflect on something, I recommend an action card. Take some notes and look at what you're going to start doing based on some suggestions that we are giving. What are you going to stop doing because obviously it doesn't serve you anymore very well, and you realize that you're wasting maybe some time on those actions. And what are you going to continue be doing because obviously you've done it before, you got some reassurance that, hey, it's a good thing, and now you're going to keep doing, maybe amp up a little bit. There are some videos and tips at the end of the webinar. So what I would like you to do is maybe take a screenshot or just stop the video there, or the webinar there. And you can go to them, pull them up. You know, the links are live, and the one before the last slide, you can have access to them. So I provide you with really good tips and videos to watch, and also some articles that are important and connected to the topics. So it will drive action, and it will drive actually some deeper learning, so that the learning doesn't stay with you in the head, but actually it will translate into action. The whole idea is that we learn to transform our lives for the better. So my aim with this today, and part of my goal, is to help you with, you know, transitioning into a better life, a better job, a better area, a better space to be. Please provide us at the end with an evaluation. That's also crucial for us because we continuously upgrade our services and we want to make sure how we did. So give us some love and just sit back and enjoy. It's you know, your time now. Take it easy and relax and enjoy. So some of the topics are self-awareness, mindset. Obviously, it starts with what mindset you have. And then, of course, the habits. How does it feel to show up differently as you shift your habits? As well as time management and stress management, which are really connected, because when you're kind of losing time and you're not managing your time very well, it's a big source of stress. So they are kind of intertwined, but I separate it still because both areas are large to handle. And then, of course, taking actions. So making sure that you, you know, deploy good habits and aware of it, and you're going to make some steps towards accountability and improved action. At the end, you'll have the cool tips and links to follow. So what's our world like right now, or actually anytime? When people in transition, when clients are in transition, they report that their world is kind of upside down, and it's something so new. Some of you are unemployed first, some of you have been before, but it's definitely a kind of a bit of a traumatic event. So there is a terminology called VUCA world, and I'm showing here with the cursor VUCA. This came in the Cold War, and it's a historic terminology, and really nothing really changed, because when life is in transition, we are all volatile, which means we have kind of unpredictable, rapidly changing circumstance. Uncertainty, I don't need to explain what that means. Complexity, of course, our world is complex as is, and it never becomes easier. It's just getting complex and more complex. And ambiguous, the last of the acronym of the VUCA, which means basically it's unclear or inexact. So not exact, unclear. Now, this is describing a fragile state of mind or a fragile state of world. What I'd like you to achieve by the end of your workshops and one-on-one coaching, which we also provide at Next Steps, is sort of shifting from fragility to agility, okay? And the shift is basically rewording, reassigning new meanings to these words. So if you can be from volatile, which is changing rapidly and unpredictable, to become more vision orientated. So instead of focusing on volatility, if you can just focus on what's my vision, where do I see myself? Where do I want to be? What's my dream? What's my phase 2? Or everybody calls it differently. Or what's my phase 1? From uncertainty, if you can just shift your thinking and focus and go into understanding. What do you need? What do I mean by understanding? You need to understand your market you're playing in. So what's the industry that you're targeting? If you understand their needs, you can much better apply your skills. If you understand what's on demand, you know what you can supply to them. Right? So the focus again should be, instead of worrying about uncertain, jobs are going, companies are going, what do I understand? Who is staying? Who is retooling? Who needs my help, right? Instead of complexity on the fragile side, if you can just shift your focus to clarity, because the understanding of your market will gain you some clarity, inevitably. I mean, anyone who is, approaching it with a curious mind will gain clarity. And then, of course, for ambiguity, I'd like you to shift into agility, which means you need to amp up. You need to take more action. So, if just this slide, nothing else you see, but this slide here, our world and our attitude really defines where do we end up in life, where do we end up in terms of the labor market, then I think it was already worthwhile for you. But I'd like to break it down. It's a little more complex than that. So let's break it down. Let's simplify things. And there was a famous 18th century American philosopher and poet called Henry David Thoreau, who said, "Things do not change, we change." So obviously, when we keep expecting change all the time, we are not in control. We can expect the change, but we need to change ourselves. So it's calling for a new mindset. And the new mindset eventually is made up of behavior, attitude, behavior, action, results, and performance. So what is our attitude? How do we handle change? How do we handle, traumatic events or unemployment, for example, or job transition? What is our behavior that's kind of controlling our action? Based on that action, what results or lack of it we produce, and that obviously translates to our performance overall. And which one of these phases we need to fix or need to pay more attention to. By the way, on changed mindset, there is a famous author called Carol Dweck. She's a PhD researcher on the subject of mindset. She's one of the hottest researchers right now. And at the end of the presentation or webinar, on the last slide, the one before the last slide, I have provided a link to a wonderful, wonderful article by her. So actually it's a YouTube, so I want you to listen to it. It's short and it will shed a little bit more lights on it, because 35 minutes obviously won't be enough for me to cover all, okay? So the mindset, talking about the mindset can be fixed mindset or growth mindset. These are the two mindsets that we right now identify in the personal growth business or the business of coaching. And the fixed mindset obviously is the belief that skills, intellect, and talents are set and they are unchangeable. They are like rock, that's it, molded that way. Typically, the mindset looks at your desires, your skills, your efforts, your setbacks, how you handle that, your feedback to yourself, and also how do you handle the talented peers, how do you look at the world. So you can clearly see the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset when we go through the different sections. A person who has a fixed mindset, carved in stone, says, I'll stick to what I know, either I'm good at it or not, and take it or leave it, and that's it. Lack of desires, don't want to learn, not interested. On the other hand, if you happen to cultivate a growth mindset, if you recognize yourself being on that side, you would want to talk like, or you sound like, I want to learn new things. I'm eager to take risks. So today's condition is really conducive to a growth mindset, because we have a lot of tools to learn with. I mean, if you just can come to Next Steps, or you came to some of our workshops, you were already revealed a lot of those online tools through which you can take free online courses. If I just mentioned Coursera or Ellison Training, or even some of the LinkedIn Learning platform, it's available for you. You can test yourself, you can learn. So what's your desire? What's your inner engine there? And as you go through this slide, I love this slide because it actually shows what people say who have a fixed versus a growth mindset. So identify yourself, and I provide you a quiz at the end. So the second link will be actually a quiz. So very quickly you can test yourself and gain clarity as to, do I cultivate a fixed or a growth mindset, or do I have maybe mix, and where am I right now? So that will be very helpful for you. I'm pretty sure for most of you will be a great reality call. You know, awareness is everything. And what your attitude is, we say, combined with also gratitude, will really determine your altitude in life. So how far you go in life, it will be much determined based on two factors. What do you know about yourself, and what's your attitude towards your life, and what are you saying thank for? When we give thanks, we actually release such nice energies that the world feels that, picks that up, and the world will be more empathetic and more sympathetic towards us. So your attitude, which really comes also from your mindset, previous slide, will help you, together with gratitude, saying thanks, to elevate you to a higher altitude in life so you can achieve higher and better things. There is good news also. Our mind is like a muscle, okay? Just like you go to the gym, you go to the brain gym when you learn new things, when you learn to handle things differently, when you learn to have different emotions. You know, we can pick our emotion. We don't have to always react negatively to everything. Why is that so many times during crisis, certain people do well, and certain people, no matter how pleasant or placid or harmonious the circumstances, they always find the negativity? So the good thing is that the mind is a hackable tool. There is something called neuroplasticity, which is basically the capacity of the brain to unlearn, relearn, right? Unlearn and relearn. We have over 100 billion neurons, and they keep firing in our brain. It's like Christmas lights in our brain, basically. And what happens is, when you have a negative attitude, like in the previous slides, a negative fixed mindset towards something, then those neurons always fire the same direction. So it will trigger always the same results. But in your brain, if just you try for 21 days to think of your situation differently, to refocus on what's good about today, what are you giving thanks for, and try to be a little bit different in your mind approach, your neurons will fire on another channel, on another pathway, and through the capacity of this neuroplasticity, you're actually rebuilding a new connection. this is amazing. This is what's giving us hope. So the good news is that neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life in response to new situations or to changes in the environment. I studied coaching, and neuroscience and coaching is now a very hot topic and a very interesting research laden territory. We are studying so much about attitudes and brain activity, and how is these brain activities, how they are basically controlling our emotions and practically our whole life, right? So the good news is that you can actually rewire your brain. So why not refocus? Why not changing your attitude a little bit? Second most important is the habit, because if you keep thinking of the same things all the time, you're going to eventually develop a habit. And humans are creatures of habit. And you know what? Employers are also looking for people who habitually are one way or another. Because when they call you in, or when they take a chance on you, they really take a chance on you. And despite on what you present in your resumes, despite on what you tell in the interview, really it's a risk. So they are looking for people who kind of in their professional life, they exhibited before achievements. They exhibited how they overcame, challenges and problems. How did they solve them? Because if repeatedly in your career, you're showing that, you handled some things this way or the other, then it's an indicative to a potential employer that, hey, this person is going to do the same thing if I put that person in in an okay environment. So habits are huge, and many times we are not aware of it, even though it's an old concept. The concept comes from 385 BC. The founder of the Lyceum, or the first philosophy school in the Western world, Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, he's the one who coined actually this term. And he said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So there is another term or a saying that like to associate with it in your mind. And the next one is basically, perfect practice makes you perfect, right? It's not practice that makes you perfect. It's perfect practice that makes you perfect. So the way we develop the habits, the way it will actually determine the course of our life and our professional life. Now, I'm sure you can identify some bad habits as is. I'm providing here 10 points of what you can do to kind of break them up. And number one is be aware that you have them, self-reflect, have that inner awareness, be mindful of what bad habits do I have. You don't have to tell anyone, just please be aware of it, because how can we change anything if we are not even aware, right? Identify the triggers, break it down, take a piece of paper, reflect on it. What triggers those behaviors? Is someone influencing you to think negatively all the time, for example? Maybe I need to disassociate with myself from that person for a while, because clearly it has a bad imprint on me, on my habits. Focus on why you want to change the habit. Tell yourself the truth. Where do I see myself? Where do I want to be? So, is that my driver? What do I want? Why I change this habit? Where do I want to be with this habit eventually? Start small, be nice to be with yourself, because sometimes we are extremely impatient. I have a lot of clients, they want the shortcut. There is no shortcut, ladies and gents. You need to go through the motion. And, patience is really a huge friend in the journey. Okay, let go of the all or nothing mindset. If you don't get it first, if it doesn't start that quickly, well, have patience, because Rome was not built also in one day. So just kind of be nice to yourself. Visualize yourself breaking the habit. Meditate. Creative visualizations are proven by neuroscience extremely helpful. So the internet is full of these creative visualizations. YouTube it, you'll find it. If you need further help, we can do one-on-one coaching on that too, but try to visualize at least 10-15 minutes every day. I do it in the morning and I do it in the evening. Plenty of YouTube videos. Try it and stick with it and look at the results. Change your environment. Number 6, use apps as reminders, for example. We have apps now to measure anything. You can adjust your computer or your smartphone to, for example, alert you to drink water. Change a habit of not drinking enough water. You feel that you're dry all the time. When you're dry, you can't think. Your brain doesn't work that well, right? So we even have an app for that to remind you to drink water. So change your environment, use apps if you need that, measure your walks. You can see how many steps you did one day. An excellent habit changer. And I have lots of clients that started to use it, and they report positive results, because now finally they can measure what they are doing, because otherwise they haven't even, they just kind of went as they always did, and guess what, they got stuck in bad habits. Number 7, replace the habit with a different one. So if I'm just telling you one little thing, if for example I crave something, I don't get a chocolate bar right now. I'm drinking some, like a hot chocolate or some warm drink, maybe an almond milk drink that kind of replaces that craving for chocolate. Or maybe I have a yogurt with some fresh fruit. So I replace my old habits. I don't have to be bad to myself. I don't have to limit myself in a way that I'm going to feel cravings, but I replace it with something similar yet healthier. So what can you replace in your life from the bad habit side, that you don't have to give up everything all at once, but it just shifts you a little bit to be more healthy, or think more positively about something, and start looking at the positive side of what's the benefit of the situation you're in now, for example, or what are you going to give thanks to? That's a beautiful habit to replace instead of complaining. Number 8, give yourself little rewards and incentives. When I said be good to yourself and don't rush it and start small, being good to yourself is also acknowledging your little wins. Celebrate. If you have powerfully and successfully managed to shift one little thing in your life, say thanks to yourself, write it down, put it on the wall, make sure that you see it, and you constantly remind yourself, because it's nice to be celebrated, right? Don't wait for it from the outside. Number 9, be patient. Neuroplasticity needs to act 21 days, just like any diet. That's why diets are asking, to stick with for 21 days so that you have the results. So be patient and try to do it. Monitor yourself for the next month. And of course, finally, number 10, find an accountability partner. So important to, check up on you by someone else, because sometimes, we slack. So accountability partner could be a friend, a colleague. We do yoga classes together with some colleagues now. It's just wonderful. Just help each other. So ask yourself, after I've done the 21 days, or during I've been doing the habitual change for the next 21 days, how differently will I show up, right? And where does that lead me? And don't give it up. Stick with it. No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. It really is up to you, and no one will be holding the gun to your head, so to speak. There has to be some kind of a self-motivation, and that's a huge other area of how you motivate yourself. But trust me, if for 21 days you're good to yourself, you will have some kind of really good results. No matter how small, there will be results, and that will make you happy. And that those little results will give you motivation actually to move on and try new things and try more. Okay, so one more time, in terms of showing up differently, I'm providing you a little help here in this diagram, which, even though was made for these challenging times, the C times, I'm not going to say the word, you can see it on the screen, but really this is any sort of challenging time. It relates to any kind of challenging times. So how do you move yourself from being fearful, let's say in job transition, to being more curious and being in the learning zone, therefore? And once you learned a lot, then actually start to enter the growth zone. I'm going to leave this here with you to stop maybe the webinar and look at these, identify some of the things that you could do to transpire from being fearful into being a learning person, establishing new habits, and right away going into entering the growth zone. And that's where huge results will happen. So please just be aware of, if nothing else, how differently I want to show up, how fearful I am today, what am I going to focus on learning from the situation I'm in, job transition, and what's going to serve me in the learning zone in order to ensure that I'm on the growth path. Because when an employer sees that you're on the growth path, you are the most attractive employer. In other words, you will become a good investment. All right? Now, third is, and that's really challenging, the time, time management. And, you know, people say, yeah, working smarter, not harder. You got to keep a track of the time and have this time management tool. Well, the number one challenge is not to manage time. Again, habitually, we do things and we lose time. So what do you do to manage yourselves better? Okay, that's the number one question. Not necessarily time, but how do I manage myself, and where do I leak the time? Where do I lose a lot of time that I'm not efficient enough, so that I can improve my efficiency and therefore gain time? Okay, what can I reorganize? Because everybody says I'm busy, I'm busy. Every time you ask someone, how are you? The number one reply is I'm busy. Well, I didn't ask whether you're busy, but you keep telling me you're busy, because it became a bad habit of society, just saying I'm busy. But what are you busy with? What are you busy about? You know, it's not enough to be busy. So are the ants. They are always busy. But the question is, what are they busy about? And again, it's Henry Thoreau. I don't know how it happened, but I found the second quote. It's amazing. And I find it very, very eye-opening. You know, instead of busy, ask yourself, how do I manage my time right now? And I provide in the next slide a step-by-step tool. It's a 7-point that actually you can grow into a plan for yourself. Time management steps, tips in 7 steps. So time management tips in 7 steps. And it's pretty obvious, pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to spend too much time on it. I'd rather spend my time on number 2, 5, and 6, because over there, I can provide you with a matrix that will help you to prioritize, which is really important in time management. Therefore, if you prioritize, you can organize better. And of course, that will inevitably bring removing some non-essential tasks that you can do later. So what do you do? How do you improve time efficiency and personal management better? By respecting the 7 steps time management tool. So here we go. Eisenhower matrix. In coaching, that's what we give to our clients, and that's how we make them so aware of what can be done in a 4 quadrants. So Eisenhower was the actually Dwight Eisenhower, the 34th US president of the United States, and during World War II, obviously he was a busy man and wanted to be more efficient, so he invented a kind of a scale and a matrix between important and urgent, and he realized that the two things are not the same. And as he made the distinctive difference, he came about 4 quadrants: urgent and important, which needs to be now and needs to do now and require your attention. Not urgent but important, so you can do it later and you can schedule it later. It's the yellow quadrant up here. Bottom left is the blue quadrant, urgent and not important. You can delegate to someone or outsource maybe a computer program or an app to help you with it. And finally, not urgent and not important, therefore probably you can eliminate it from your life. As I said, the 2 links are repeated at the end. So either here you can watch it now, or if you stop the webinar, or you can watch it at the end. They will be excellent for you. And if you can just develop a habit to do this for a month, and track yourself as to how to work smarter versus harder with a practical tool like this, it's guaranteed that you will improve your efficiency and your personal management will go through the roof. So here are some of the things that serve as examples of the common activities. And maybe the wording is different from the previous one, like instead of eliminate, it says waste, but basically you will get it is the same thing. So look at the examples and try to identify with your life, with your job search, and when you relate it, you will arrive to some conclusions that will help you to eliminate what doesn't work for you, what you can delegate, where you need to shift your focus and take your leadership, and what you need to do right away and pay attention to, okay? Number 4 is stress, and stress is really connected to time, but it's also connected to our biology, and I'll tell you in a second how. Stress management currently, I'm showing you here, stems from, well, basically the jobs. In job transition and in uncertain times that we live in right now, with a lot of companies not sure whether they are opening or taken over or how they restart or how they keep continuing on. The top issues this past month were basically out of the top 5, 1, 2, 3 were out of the 5 focusing on job and job security and employment and employers. So you can see it's a quite heavy issue. So it's a source of a lot of stress. But stress can be eliminated. Can we get rid of it? Like, what do we do? Because stress is really awful, and who wants it anyway? Well, the news is for you, you might have heard it or might not, that actually it's programmed in our DNA. We have a stress response in there, which is an old ancient response when we were kind of living in the nature. We needed to be alerted to stress. So when the tiger is coming, you run away. And nothing wrong with that because, that saves our lives. So basically that's a good benefit there. However, if that stress keeps elongated in our life and we never switch off, then we exhaust our nervous system, we exhaust our adrenaline, and we become sick. So when you look at the tiger or the elephant or whichever, when they are in danger, they are alerted for a while, but when the danger is gone, in like 2 seconds, they snap out of it and they go back to eating or sleeping or whatever they were doing. So they have a very easy way of switching off. Problem with us humans is that we don't switch it off. So benefits of stress is that it helps us to save us from danger, but you need some tips to definitely manage stress because it is it's lurking there in the subconscious mind. It is triggering the subconscious mind, and we have 30,000 times more powerful actions in the subconscious than the conscious mind. So when you keep focusing on danger, the subconscious gets triggered and it will adjust your life to it. So I'd like you to start focusing on some exercises and some of the positivity, the benefits of any kind of challenging situation you're in. Why? Because then you will start triggering better actions because it's an automation. Your subconscious has no questioning in there. So it just takes what it hears or smells or feels or hears from the conscious. So what can we do to kind of rewire that process? For example, smile often. Believe it or not, it's very powerful. Why? Because your subconscious feels that things are in order, and when you smile, you breathe differently, and there is relaxation happening in your brain. Also say out loud, "Thank you, stress, for coming, but I don't need you right now." And smile, because you retrain yourself and your brain to associate different emotions with your states of consciousness, right? So keep it up for 21 days minimum, but better for a whole month. Trust me, very important, helps, and it's research-based. We have huge research labs that go back 20, 25 years proving this principle. Next thing is catch yourself being stressed all the time, being negative, and redirect your attention to something nice, like a flower, like something to, switch your focus onto something positive. Drink a glass of water or two, maybe a vitamin drink. Breathe 3 times deeply. We have information that just 3 or 4 deep breaths already sort of rewire your brain. So it's very important to change your brain chemistry by these little tricks. Now, last thing I'd like to tell you is self-check. Focus on and redirect your mind on these activities and try to build them into your life. When you look at this slide, you have 10 clear suggestions on how to manage your stress better. And ask yourself, be aware, ask yourself, how many of these activities am I or are you currently incorporating into your life to reduce the level of stress and stay healthy and balanced? Are you listening to music to fall asleep? Are you talking to friends? Are you, building a little community or further build a little community around you, maybe perhaps online? Are you making new friends? Are you making new connections? Or are you reaching back to old connections, maybe former bosses, former colleagues that will also help you with networking? Take a walk. Take a walk every day, even if just for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Walk changes your brain state. And also you get fresh air. Maybe you go to the forest, go to the woods. It entirely changes your state of mind. Get more sleep. Try to limit yourself. Use a phone app to alert you to, social media moratorium at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and I don't look at it anymore. That's it. My app will signal it for me. Take a hot bath or a warm bath. Relax. Put some Epsom salt in it. Take it easy. Manage your stress state and get into the relaxation state with a warm bath. Exercise, even if for 10-15 minutes every day, no matter how little, how short, but that immediately starts to release good nutrients in your brain, and it will actually charge positive thinking. Eat comfort foods and eat well, and do yoga. Yoga could be one of the exercises. Try to laugh about it. Take a laughter yoga. You can even take it online right now. You can just go on YouTube and laugh with people. It's amazing what we have with the technology right now available to us. Play an instrument perhaps, maybe play a flute, or maybe you haven't taken out your guitar or ukulele lately. Just do something, because stress can be managed and you need to take part in it. As outside, as inside, as outside. It's an ancient Greek saying as well. We need to take charge of our life. We can't expect help from the outside all the time. What are you gonna do to take charge of your personal management with the help of, time, mindset change, and stress management? What are the tricks and new learnings that will establish new habits in your life? For this, I'm providing you a lot of tools. This is a couple of short films, self-assessments, and also explanations, even articles from important magazines. Please do watch, please do dwell in it so that you can manage yourself better to produce excellent results. Well, in about 35 minutes that I'm right now, this was a short glimpse into a very large subject matter, and I'm truly hoping that I was able to provide you with an insight, a little bit even deeper insight, but more or less an awareness on what you're doing right now in terms of showing up differently. I hope I gave you some incentives as well. It's a fantastic journey. Please embark on it, and also embark on some of our next webinars, because they are coming up. At Next Steps Employment Centers, at the 7 sites, we are constantly working on producing new topics that are important for you in job transition. And please visit our websites. We have also our social media platforms where you can learn and be entertained and also educated about these topics that are pertaining to your success. Please give us a love and by filling out the evaluation link that I'm forwarding here for you. As you can see, the link lights up, so when you click on it, you can go or maybe copy paste into a Google. We look forward to having you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, and I wish you all the success. See you at our next webinar.